You are at a professional networking event. Across the room is someone you genuinely want to speak to, a potential client or a future mentor. Your heart rate spikes, your palms sweat. You are entirely frozen. Your brain starts cycling through every possible way this interaction could fail. You rehearse an opening line, talk yourself out of it, and by the time you move, they have already walked away. If you are an Indian man, this is rarely an isolated stumble. It is a lived experience you have likely repeated dozens of times. That paralysis is the predictable output of a very specific social environment. This sudden inability to form a sentence isn't a personality defect. You aren't broken. You are simply operating exactly as you were raised to. Social boldness is a learned skill, but the Indian social ecosystem actively prevents men from practicing it. The first layer of this programming happens in the classroom. From age 5, the education system rewarded silence and obedience. Students who debated a teacher or spoke out of turn were corrected or shushed. You learned quickly that drawing attention to yourself was dangerous. That lesson was reinforced at home. You grew up hearing phrases like "log kya kahenge," what will people say, or demands to stay quiet when elders were speaking. Your voice was repeatedly framed as a liability. Years of this conditioning creates approval addiction. This is a deep psychological state where you feel an intense need for external validation before taking any action. You refuse to walk up to a stranger unless you have absolute certainty you will not be judged. The system successfully engineers brilliant doctors and highly capable professionals, but it traps deeply interesting, intellectually curious men inside a cage of self-censorship. To understand why you freeze, we have to look at a small, almond-shaped structure in your brain called the amygdala. Its primary job is to scan your environment for physical danger. Because you were conditioned to view social judgment as a severe risk, your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a stranger at a coffee shop and a predator in the wild. This diagram illustrates what psychologists call an amygdala hijack. Whether you face a physical threat or a networking event, the brain triggers the exact same flood of cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart races and your ability to think clearly evaporates. While your body reacts, your mind desperately constructs a threat story to justify the panic. You tell yourself you will sound stupid or be rejected, blinding you entirely to the opportunity story, the simple curiosity about who this person is. Because this is a hardwired biological override, you cannot sit in the corner and think your way into feeling relaxed. You have to force a behavioral short circuit. The biggest lie you have been told is that you need to feel confident before you walk up to someone. Look at this feedback loop. Action comes first. When you step forward and start a conversation, you prove to your amygdala that you aren't going to die. The brain reclassifies the threat, and that physical relief is what actually generates confidence. Every time you talk yourself out of an approach, you validate the brain's threat warning and make the fear stronger. Action dissolves the panic. To survive those initial 30 seconds without overthinking, use the CARE framework. State the context of your environment, point out something worthy of attention, ask a real question, and actually engage with their answer. It removes the pressure of being witty. Confidence is a neurological result you manufacture through immediate action, one interaction at a time. Once the conversation starts, anxious men often fall into the interview trap. They nervously fire off factual questions. Where are you from? What do you do? Which immediately drains the energy out of the room. A real connection functions like this tennis match. You trade shared experiences. You move quickly past basic facts and offer a genuine opinion, inviting them to hit the ball back. You keep the rally going through conversation threading. Instead of dropping a topic, you listen for the most emotionally charged word in their sentence and pull on that specific thread. For example, if someone says their recent trip to Coorg was hectic but beautiful, you don't ask for tourist recommendations. You target the emotion. You ask, hectic how? Did something go wrong? And when the conversation naturally pauses, let it. A few seconds of silence isn't a failure you need to panic over. It shows you are comfortable in your own skin. Attempting to mask your insecurity by acting like a cinematic hero will backfire. Those are performative tropes, not communication strategies. If you rely on cheap tactics, your behavior will eventually revert to your true core identity. To actually rewire how you see yourself, you have to accumulate hard evidence over time. You do this through a month of micro-actions, making eye contact, smiling at a stranger, and sharing genuine opinions. Sometimes the other person won't be interested. A rejection is simply a mismatched connection in a specific moment. It has zero bearing on your value as a man. Your cultural background is not a disadvantage. The emotional warmth, intelligence, and depth inherent in the Indian experience are incredibly magnetic qualities once you stop suppressing them. You do not need to build a fake hyper-confident persona. The socially fluent version of you is already there. He is exactly who emerges when the fear you were taught is finally unlearned.